you.
Yeah.
You know, when I hear you talk about, it's like this, you know, it's an amalgam of different folks.
Right.
On these crews. You're working with people from literally, you're talking about Mexico and Canada and
everywhere.
Israel.
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe talk about that a little bit, and maybe how the music is the sort of common thread, or maybe it's the paycheck. I don't know.
Well, I think it's both, Alan. I mean, definitely it's a paycheck. But, you know, I mean, without the music, I mean, I guess if you're working for a vendor, right? And the vendor like says, well, go put these lights up at a sporting event or go put these lights up for a corporate, right? You go do that. But I think for the most part, it's the music, you know? I mean, like we've got our stage manager was originally from Israel, right? And it was because of the music and, you know, wanting to work for bands. That's why he's doing what he's doing. You know, we've got a lighting guy that's from Germany. We've got an audio guy from Brazil. We've got, you know, our production coordinator is from the UK. Our other production coordinator is from Germany. Now I'm gonna, one of our monitor tech is from Japan. So, and some of those people, absolutely it was the music, I know for sure. But some of them, you know, it was like, well, you know, my company told me to come out and do this, so here I am, you know, but.
It's like a model United Nations.
It is, you know, it really, I mean, that's the one thing that I'm grateful for in being able to travel with this and whatnot is like, you know, I got to see the world, I got to see other cultures, I got outside of, you know, first bumfuck New York and then the United States and then North America and whatnot. I mean, fortunate. I'm glad I did because I think everyone should, you know, unfortunately we don't. And then all we know is what we know here, you know, so.
Interesting. So you feel like it's broadened your perspective?
Oh God, yes. You know, to like, I mean, just to see the news, if you will, in other countries when they're talking about the United States and how it's presented, and you kind of go, no, they didn't tell me that at home. You know what I mean? With the internet now, not as much. But like when I first started getting out of the United States, like 1988, I got to the UK, I got to Europe for the first time, I got to Japan for the first time. I got to see things like, wow, this is a whole nother culture and a whole nother way of, you know, you do business and just people, right? Like, I mean, I was, you know, having a couple uncles, 3 uncles, in fact, that were in World War II, right? I've always been fascinated about it. I always wanted to go and see, you know, like, well, what really happened? I mean, you know, there's not a lot left, but like, you know, just being able to, you know, I mean, like I can remember in '88, in those days, East Germany still existed. So we were playing in West Berlin. Well, there was what was called a corridor, right?
Who were you with at the time?
That was with Sanctuary. So you would have to take your bus and go through this road. There was one road, right, that went from like West Germany here through East Germany to get to Berlin, to get to West Berlin, right? It was called, they called it the corridor. And I don't remember how far it was or whatever. But I sat up front with the bus driver just to see it, right? And he's going, okay, we're going to get like so far into this point, and we're going to get pulled over by the East German cops, right? It was just like a thing, right? Like what you used to do is you'd load your bus up with like shirts and like guitar strings and bass strings and picks and all this stuff because it was payola, right? So the border guards were gonna get some of it, and then halfway through, the cops that pulled you over were going to get some of it. And then when you got into West Berlin, at that border, they were going to get some of it when they let you out, right? It was like a cost of doing business. That's the way it was, right? But the interesting thing is when we got to that point where the bus driver was like, yeah, they're going to pull us over, right? Like he could see the guy pulled out and he goes, watch this. And he floored the bus. And he pulled away from the police car. The bus was faster than their police car, right? I mean, he pulled over, right? What are you going to do? You know, you have the whole damn army coming down on you, right? But yeah, it was just like, wow, okay, fair enough. So I witnessed all that. And then, of course, I as a tourist, right, I kind of did, you know, like the Brandenburg Gate, right? But it was crazy because I remember, I want to say it was near there, but I could be wrong. but there was a Russian T-34 tank, I think a couple of them, like a monument, right? And I started to walk across the street to go see him, and like the Russian guys were like with guns were like, no, niet, right? So I couldn't go over there. I don't know, maybe it was a bad day, or maybe I'm remembering it differently, all right? So now, let's jump ahead. I think the wall came down in what, 89 or whatever? I remember talking to the Faith No More guys on the tour we did there with Voivod and Soundgarden, because they were there when it happened. Like, they were there, they witnessed the whole thing. They were in Berlin gigging when the whole thing went down, right? Well, we got back there with Soundgarden, I want to say around, I don't know, was it April or whatever? We were over there kind of doing like a promo thing or whatever. What?
Of what year?
Of 90.
Okay.
Of 90, sorry, of 90. So not long after it had come down, right? So, I want to say we were playing Huxley's Neuwelt, Huxley's New World. I think that was the club gig in Berlin. I think that's what we played, but I could be wrong. Definitely played there with other bands, but I think that's the one with Soundgarden, but who knows. So thankfully I have a day off, so I go down and you know, I got the stamp on my passport to go into East Germany, but you didn't have to. I mean, I literally like walked through the damn wall and walked into East Germany because there was all these holes in the wall. I mean, it was like mind-blowing for me as a kid growing up with the Cold War, you know, and I mean, I think when I was still in Mrs. Niehoff's class in like first grade, I want to say we still did a duck and cover drill, you know? So we were at the very end of the whole duck and cover thing, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm making it up, Alan. So this is 90, and I'm walking through the damn wall into East Berlin, right? And it's crazy because, like, they didn't really fix anything from World War II. Like, you still had buildings that had, like, you know, you could see where, like, bullets and mortars and things had hit them on the outside, and they just never fixed it, right? It was kind of nuts. But yeah, then I came back through the wall and actually went through, because the checkpoint was still there, right? I actually went through the checkpoint. I got the East German stamp on my passport just to have it. And then, you know, like, walked around East Berlin. And then came back through the wall. I didn't even bother going back through the checkpoint, right? It was crazy. It was nuts. Somewhere I got like little pieces of the wall at home or whatever. I didn't save a lot of it. I kind of brought it home to show my parents, right? Like, look, here's a part of the Berlin Wall, you know? So there's that. I got way off track, sorry.
No, it's awesome. That was great.